Hi everyone, I'm back and ready to watch more Star Trek, the original series today, season 3. Today we're going to watch episode 19, which is called Requiem for Methuselah. Before we get into that, though, I have a couple quick book updates. So you probably noticed that it's been a while since I updated you guys on that. After I finished the last book, which I believe was Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep, I started reading iRobot. I was feeling just kind of, I don't know, burnt out, stressed out. I went a couple weeks without really picking up a book. Eventually, I finally got back into iRobot and I read it and I loved it. It's one of my favorite things that I've read recently. It took me a little bit to get into it. The first couple stories that I read, they were okay, pretty good, but at some point after like the third or fourth little story in there, I started really getting into it. I love the characters of Mike Donovan and Gregory Powell and the crazy situations that they find themselves in and how they have to try to think about how the robots were created and the three rules that they follow and trying to figure out why the robots were acting the way they were. And usually, like, it was a life threatening situation. And so it was just really exciting. And then we moved on to focusing more on Susan Calvin, I believe her name was. We went even more in depth with like the robot psychology, her being a robo psychologist, and really trying to figure out exactly why the robots are acting in some very strange manners. And then I was really missing Mike and Greg, and then they came back in another story later on, and I honestly, I squealed for delight when I read their names. I was like, so excited. Powell's little sayings that he has are some of my new favorite things ever, like sizzling Saturn or great jumping Jupiter, kind of his version of like great Scott or any other exclamation that you can think of that a character has. And it just really left me feeling very uplifted. I mean, maybe kind of spoilers if you haven't read the book already. I expected like the robots to kind of turn on humans, and that would be like maybe one of the main focuses of these stories, but it turned out to be the opposite, and it was very uplifting. And maybe the humans couldn't figure out why the robots were acting in the very kind of strange and scary ways, but then when they figured out the reason, like the robots never wanted to harm humans. And so I thought it was a really positive outlook for the future. And then I went into the Harlan Ellison greatest hits because I've wanted to read I Have No Mouth and I Must Scream. So I read the first story, Repent, Harlequin Said the TikTok Master. And then I read I Have No Mouth and I Must Scream. And this was just kind of like the other opposite end of the spectrum where it was just very dark, very depressing. There's nothing good happening. And honestly, I Have No Mouth and I Must Scream is one of the worst as far as like how it makes me feel things that I've ever read in my life. Usually I'm into kind of like the dark, the no happy ending and things like that, but this was really difficult, a really difficult read, and it freaked me out. It was really good at making me feel really bad. So like an excellent piece of work, but after reading those two, I think maybe Harlan Ellison might be I'll read like his stories, maybe not read the whole thing. There's a lot of stories in there, and if they're all going to be like the first two, then I think maybe I want to spread reading those out because they're really tough to get through, like really tough. And I love his writing style. The first story, Repent Harlequin, the character of the Harlequin is very like kind of a prankster. You get the feeling that he's just kind of jumping around, laughing, and all this kind of stuff. And the writing style was very much in tune to that. The writing was just very fast paced and jumpy and had like this canter to it. And then so I was wondering, like, is this his writing style, or is it because it kind of relates to the story and the characters in the story? So I was really curious when I went into I Have No Mouth because I was wondering if it was going to be kind of the same style, and it was different. It was different because this story is not, there's nothing happy, or, I mean, Harlequin is not a happy story, but, you know, it's kind of fun for a while because of how the character acts. And so the writing reflects that, but then I Have No Mouth is a lot more just in your face, depressing, distressing, and so the writing is really kind of toned down a lot. And I really enjoy that. But I feel like I need to take a break from him for a little bit after reading just those two short stories. They were a lot, and I'm really impressed, but also just very wary of going back into it so quickly. And I don't know what I'm going to read in between. I haven't decided yet, but anyways, that's my update. I feel like I can't really put into words what I'm feeling and thinking about these stories, but hopefully you get kind of a gist, even though words are not really my strong point. Okay, and with that being said, let's watch some Star Trek. Requiem for Methuselah. Hope you guys enjoyed this one, and thank you guys for watching and listening to my ramblings and all that good stuff. All right, let's do it.
The Enterprise is in the grip of a raging epidemic. 3 crewmen have died and 23 others have been struck down.
Oh no.
Dr. McCoy needs large quantities of Ritalin. Our sensors have picked up sufficient quantities of pure Ritalin on a small planet.
I've got 4 hours to process that stuff. Otherwise, the epidemic will be irreversible.
Readings indicate a life form in the vicinity, apparently human. Sensors indicated this planet was uninhabited.
Look at how pink the sky is. Love it. Okay, that seems like a warning shot, or he has really bad aim.
Do not kill.
Captain James Kirk.
I know who you are.
Mr.
Flint, you will leave my planet.
But we need stuff.
I have a sick crew up there. You can't refuse us the Ritalin.
If you do not leave voluntarily, I have the power to force you to leave or kill you where you stand.
Well, that's just not very nice. Why doesn't he just let us get in and get out and be out of his hair? Does he need or use the Ritalin for something? Probably not as dire as keeping an entire crew of 400 plus people alive.
Lock phasers onto our coordinates. If anything happens to us, 4 deaths. And then my crew comes down and takes that Ritalin.
Oh, I see.
We need only a few hours.
Have you ever seen a victim of Brazilian fever? They die in one day. The effects are like bubonic plague.
Oh no. That's what they're dealing with?
Constantinople,
Jeez.
summer 1334.
1334.
It left the city by ox cart by sea to kill half of Europe.
Are you a student of history, sir?
No, he's making it sound like he lived through it.
I am.
You have 2 hours, at the end of which time you will leave. M4 will gather the Ritalin which you need.
Okay, well, he's not all bad. His tone changed super quickly. Whoa! Look at that! Beautiful.
Our ship's sensors did not reveal your presence here, Mr. Flint.
He probably doesn't want to be found.
Then you live here alone.
Except for M4, which serves as butler, housekeeper, gardener.
M4? Is that like M5?
Collections in the galaxy.
Who do we have here?
Be comfortable, gentlemen. Help yourselves to brandy.
Oh, should have brought Scotty along.
This is the most splendid private collection of art I've ever seen. The majority are the works of Leonardo da Vinci, some of the works of Reginald Pollock, and even a sten from Marcus II.
At last I have seen other humans. One is not human. So that is a Vulcan. I would like to discuss subdimensional physics with him.
They are selfish, brutal.
How are we brutal?
Soon they will be gone. Let me meet them.
Have you been lonely?
They said they picked up one
What is
human
loneliness?
There's a flower dying in the desert.
after being on the planet. They could sense one human, so is one of them not human?
Don't take this opportunity away from me. It's so exciting.
Never made a demand of me before. It might be interesting.
I mean, she doesn't seem like she's acting human, but he possibly has lived for so many years, so who's the
Mr.
human?
Spock, I know you won't have one.
I will have a brandy.
Do you think the two of us can handle a drunk Vulcan?
I am close to experiencing an unaccustomed emotion.
Hmm?
I'll drink to that. What emotion?
Envy. None of these Da Vinci paintings has ever been cataloged or reproduced. As undiscovered Da Vinci's, they would be priceless. The canvas and pigments used are of contemporary origin.
So he painted them? Or she?
Spock, at your earliest opportunity, take a full tricorder reading of our host, see if he's human.
Yeah. Who's the human? So Spock is an enjoyer of the arts. I like that. That must be our stuff. Thank you. Goodbye.
Right talent, ready to be processed into antitoxin.
And start processing.
M4 can prepare the right talent for inoculation more quickly in my laboratory. And when you are satisfied as to procedures, I hope you will do me the honor of being my guest at dinner.
I don't think we have the time.
He really did change his tune. Oh,
Gentlemen,
I gotta mention that I love her dress and her hair. I'm trying not to interrupt the dialogue.
her parents were killed in an accident while in my employ. I have raised and educated her.
With most impressive results, sir.
Raina possesses the equivalent of 17 university degrees in the sciences and arts.
But I must admit, you're the farthest thing from a bookworm I've ever seen.
You are the only other men I've ever seen.
The misfortune of men everywhere.
If you would accompany my robot to the laboratory, Doctor.
Thank you, sir.
Kirk always looks like he hasn't seen a woman in like 10 years. Whenever one of these girls come out.
Yes, billiards, conversation.
Why not all three?
I thought we were in a rush, guys. Well, how are we gonna supervise like this? Oh, why is the camera shaking like that? We're playing pool.
We play often.
May I show you, Captain?
I love how this place is decorated, though. This set is amazing.
Look at your starship, bristling with weapons. Mission to colonize, exploit, destroy if necessary.
Our missions are peaceful, our weapons defensive. Your greeting, not ours, lacked a certain benevolence.
True.
The result of pressures which are not your concern.
And those pressures are everywhere, in everyone, urging him to what you call savagery. To be human is to be complex. You can't avoid a little ugliness.
Spock's playing
Why
the
don't
piano.
you play the waltz, Mr. Spock? To be human is also to seek pleasure. Raina is a most accomplished dancer.
May I have the pleasure?
Thank you.
There are people with the bubonic plague up on the ship suffering in pain. Might I remind you? I feel like I would enjoy this. Like, this is very enjoyable. Look at this. Look at her little sachet and stuff, whatever. It's lovely, but also, there's people dying of the plague up there. I mean, I know we can't go until this stuff is ready, but I'm very curious about these two, though.
Is something wrong?
Yes, there's something wrong. The Ritalin is no good. It contains beryllium.
Beryllium will render the antitoxin inert.
Hmm?
I shall go with M4 to gather more Ritalin and screen it myself.
Time factor bones, epidemic.
Nearly 2.5 hours. I guess we got time to get in under the wire. Jim, what if all the Ritalin on this planet contains beryllium?
Oh, then yeah, that's bad.
Go with Flint. Keep an eye on procedures.
Yeah, because I think he got the bad, right, what's it called? On purpose to keep him
This
down here
waltz
longer.
I just played is by Johannes Brahms, in original manuscript in Brahms' own hand, and yet unknown.
They're giving me clues to something, but I can't figure out, like, I'm most curious about what Spock is curious about right now. That's like the key to all this. And what's the point of having all this knowledge and all these degrees if you're just gonna be so isolated? What are they doing on this planet? Like, what are they accomplishing? Anything?
You left us. the room became lonely.
Did he create her?
I come here when I am troubled. When I would search myself.
Are you troubled now?
Yes.
Does she come here because this is where she was created?
Are you happy here with Flint?
He's the greatest, kindest, wisest man in the galaxy.
He's the only man you know.
Then why are you afraid?
I'm not sure this is appropriate right now.
Don't be afraid.
Oh, she doesn't like that that machine.
Stop command!
Spock? Who's that? Oh, hi. You just destroyed the...
Thank you, Mr. Spock.
You just destroyed his robot. The one that can process the material fast. Look at this place. There's a flag up there. Wonder what that flag's about.
It thought you were attacking Reyna. A misinterpretation.
Oh,
Too useful a device to be without, really. I created another.
that was quick.
I'm glad he did not die.
Of course. Dr. McCoy is in the laboratory with a new Ritalin. May I suggest that you wait here? You have seen that my defense systems operate automatically and not always in accordance with my wishes. Come, Reyna.
Well, I feel like instead of threatening them, you could make whatever changes necessary to your security measures.
I don't like the way he orders her around.
I respectfully suggest that you pay less attention to the young lady. Our host's interests do not appear to be confined to art and science.
He loves her? Jealousy. But he seemed to want us together. The billiard game? He suggested we dance.
They really do a great job keeping me super curious and like not able to really figure out the answer.
Run a computer check on Reyna Kopek.
Aye, sir.
Such a mystery.
I was able to run a tricorder scan on Mr. Flint. He is human. Extreme age is indicated. On the order of 6,000 years.
Time factor.
We must commence Ritalin injections within 2 hours and 18 minutes. The delay may be deliberate.
It's as though he's keeping us here for some reason.
It's logical to assume that we are being monitored and that he is aware of our every move.
That's unnerving.
You sent the robot to kill him.
It came to protect you. Have I lied to you?
Never.
How do you know?
What did you feel?
What are this guy's motives? What is his goal?
The planet was purchased 30 years ago by a Mr. Brack.
There's no record of a Reyna Kopek in Federation legal banks.
Like Flint.
Like Flint.
I would suggest that our immediate concern is the Ritalin.
Yep. But I'm also very curious about this guy.
Captain, I've come to say goodbye.
I don't want to say goodbye.
What is this guy trying to accomplish? And who's this Brack or whatever that purchased the planet? Is that him? Is that Flint?
A last tender encounter, Captain Kirk. To end your usefulness.
Come with me. I offer you happiness. You love me, not Flint.
What the heck?
Flint lied. Ritalin isn't here.
What is going on in this episode?
Why is Flint playing tricks on us? Apparently, we're supposed to go in and get it. Let's not disappoint the chess master.
He is messing with them so bad.
I shall get the Ritalin.
Why you?
In case it's a trap.
We'll all go.
But if it's dangerous, then only one person would get injured or killed. And a Vulcan is the least likely to... I mean, he's the most robust physically. So it makes sense that he would go first.
The Ritalin.
Reyna, 16? Are those the previous Reynas? Or the new Reynas? The upcoming Reynas? Why don't they have hair? It's like they're not complete yet.
To combat the epidemic aboard the
Oh,
Enterprise.
she has hair.
But we have also discovered our benefactor's secret. He has created the perfect woman. Her only flaw, she's not human.
These are earlier versions of Reyna, Jim. She's an android.
Created here by my hand.
Your collection of Leonardo da Vinci masterpieces, they appear to have been recently painted.
By her.
A waltz by Johannes Brahms, an unknown work written in modern ink, yet absolutely authentic.
I am Brahms.
And Da Vinci.
Yes.
Oh.
Solomon, Alexander, Lazarus, Methuselah, Merlin, Abramson, 100 other names you do not know.
You were born?
In that region of Earth later called Mesopotamia, in the year 3834 BC. I fell in battle, pierced to the heart, and did not die.
Why?
You learned that you're immortal.
And to conceal it. To pretend to age and then move on before my nature was suspected.
Huh. I did not see that coming.
I have married 100 times, Captain. Loved, cherished.
And then lost them.
Then age, death.
So he wants a partner that will last forever.
You wanted a perfect, ultimate woman.
You cannot love an android, Captain. I love her. My property.
Does she know?
She will never know. You will stay.
We have discovered what he is, Captain.
We know too much.
Kirk Enterprise.
Where did the Enterprise go? Oh, just like in Cat's Paw, except this is actually the Enterprise, not just a model of it. Just like in Cat's Paw, except it's a giant Kirk instead of a giant cat. Oh, they're like frozen too.
You'd wipe out 400 lives.
I have seen 100 billion fall. I know death better than any man. And I know mercy. Your crew is not dead, but suspended.
Restore them.
At last, Rayna's emotions have stirred to life. Now they will turn to me.
You must not do this to them.
I must.
What will you feel for him after we are gone?
Hatred?
You harm us, she hates you.
Give me back my ship. Your secret is safe with them.
This is interesting. I'm very intrigued by this character. There's so much going
That's
on
why
here.
you delayed the processing of the right talent. You realized what was happening. Reyna and me.
He needed a catalyst to
Because you
awaken
knew
those
I could bring
emotions.
her emotions alive.
Haha.
And now you're just going to take over.
We are mated, Captain. Alike, immortal.
From the beginning, you used me.
He did.
I can't love her, but I do love her. And she loves me.
Oh boy.
Captain, your primitive impulses will not alter the circumstances.
Stay out of this. We're fighting over a woman.
Oh, this guy is super strong, he said.
I will not be the cause of this. Please, stop. I choose what I want to do. I choose.
Rayna!
No, do not order me.
She's human. Aspiration, emotion. She's human. She's free to do as she wishes.
I urge you to stop. There is a danger.
And she claims the human right of choice. To do as she wills, to think as she wills.
That's what I have worked for.
Reyna, come with me.
Stay.
This poor thing.
I was not human.
Oh, I love this song.
I love.
Who do you love? Both? Oh no. Is it too much for her android body to contain? Don't say it.
You can't die.
What happened?
She loved you, Captain. And you too, Mr. Flint. As a mentor, even as a father. There was not enough time for her to adjust. She could not bear to hurt either of you. The joys of love made her human, and the agonies of love destroyed her.
Wow. That's powerful stuff. Oh man.
The epidemic is reduced and no longer a threat.
3, old and lonely man and a young and lonely man. We put on a pretty poor show, didn't we? Only I could forget.
Jim. Oh, thank heaven, sleeping at last. Tricorder readings on Mr. Flint have finally correlated. He's dying. You see, Flint, in leaving Earth with all of its complex fields within which he was formed, sacrificed immortality. He'll live the remainder of a normal lifespan, then die.
On that day, I shall mourn.
You see, I feel sorrier for you than I do for him, because you'll never know the things that love can drive a man to. The ecstasies, the miseries. All of these things you'll never know, simply because the word love isn't written into your book. Good night, Spunk.
Good night, Doctor.
I do wish he could forget her.
Forget.
I really enjoyed that episode. I love that episode. There's so much for me to say about this that there's no way that I could get all my thoughts that I had. Like, I had so many thoughts that I couldn't really say because the episode was just, there was so much going on all the time. The episode was moving so quickly. There was so much dialogue. It was all good. It was really hard for me to get a word in edgewise. So there's no way that I'm going to recall everything that I was thinking during the viewing of this, but I could start with some of the more obvious things. Like, the set was absolutely beautiful. I loved the view of his like palace and the inside. And of course, Reina was gorgeous. I loved what they did with her hair. I loved her outfit, of course. It was super elegant. The mystery was intense and the payoff was really satisfying. I was thinking that he had lived through all these times that we were talking about and seeing with like these works of art. I thought maybe he had maybe known Leonardo da Vinci and Brahm, and or that maybe he had somehow programmed her to be able to replicate their works, and that he was trying to create like this being that had like all the knowledge and all the artistic capability and all this like everything. And yeah, he was trying to create a perfect woman, but I did not see it coming that he was going to be all these people, that they're all the same person that has lived for all this time, and that it was a new work by the hand of Leonardo da Vinci. I didn't think the episode was perfect. I wasn't really convinced that Kirk was acting appropriately in every moment with such dire circumstances, his whole crew dying of this horrible plague-like disease, and there being such a tight time limit. How could he have the capability to like fall in love when this kind of thing is going on? And why would he be so worried about her and bringing her back? And like, first things first, you know, get the cure, get back, keep everybody from suffering from such a horrific affliction. I feel like my camera's blurry. Has it been this whole time? I'm sorry. The last couple times that my husband has helped me with a photo shoot, he changes like some setting on my camera, so I think I need to go back and adjust that. But anyways, while I could definitely fault some of the things that Flint was trying to do, I could empathize with his situation, with his circumstance. Living for so long, acquiring so much knowledge, so much skill, seeing so much death, experiencing love and loss so many times, being less and less able to relate other humans and their existence. When you see so much suffering and death over your lifetime, I'm sure you get kind of desensitized to it. So the lives of all the people on the Enterprise, probably it was hard for him to really care about them. In the grand scheme of things, everybody lives, everybody dies. What's the point of it all? I loved how they related Kirk to Flint, or how Kirk related himself to Flint in the end. Very old, very lonely, very young, very lonely. And I just really feel myself a lot of times really wondering what exactly is going on in Spock's brain when the subject matter is like emotions, like love and things like that. And McCoy is like, you'll never know, you'll never understand, it's not in your vocabulary. But like, we know that it's not really that simple, right? Vulcans have the capacity to feel these emotions. And Spock, being half human, is even more susceptible to this. Even forgetting the fact that we know that he has loved before in previous episodes, when McCoy's telling him that he'll never understand what Kirk is going through. What is Spock thinking? I feel like there's so much going on inside there. Like you can see it on his face that he's just I just feel like it's written all over his face that he's got a lot of thoughts. And what are they? And then when he went to do the mind meld at the end, I thought maybe at first I was thinking, oh, he wants to experience what Kirk has experienced. Like he has this curiosity after what McCoy said. But then really, it seems like, if I'm understanding correctly, he was making it so that Kirk would forget Reyna, so that he wouldn't have to go through all those painful emotions. And he didn't do that because it was the logical thing to do. I feel like the only reason you would do something like that is if you have empathy for the other person, like you understand what pain is and how it feels. And even though he suppresses those emotions, he does understand them. He does know. And so he doesn't want Kirk to feel that, to have to feel that. I just feel like his character is so complex in such fascinating ways. Oh, and one last thing. I mean, there's probably a million things that I could say about this episode, but it's hard for me to recall every single thought again that I was thinking while watching this. But I do remember thinking, and I wish I mentioned something because it would have been a nice, like, aha moment if you guys knew what I was thinking. But I was thinking that she was doing a really good job of kind of controlling her emotions, being somebody who just is now experiencing emotions for the first time. That would be really difficult to deal with, and the emotions would probably go crazy because she hasn't had the years to kind of learn how to deal with them like an adult would have, who lived in a normal adult human life. But then at the end, it was actually those conflicting and powerful emotions that ended up killing her. So while I was thinking she's doing a really good job of dealing with this, she actually really wasn't. And even though she maybe wasn't outwardly screaming and panicking and things like that, I guess she actually was going through some pretty tumultuous things inside that head of hers. And it's just a really tragic story that makes you think about a lot of things. And the characters really shined here, and I thought it was great. So what did you guys think? Do you like it? Do you not like it? I'm very eager to hear, and I thank you guys, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.